we should enjoy the shit out of this astrology this weekend because it's going to get tough next week. I know, but we've got this beautiful reprieve where we can do three big things. One is we can see more of our deeper callings. We can really not just see, but also take action toward, call into our lives, things that align with our highest path forward, things that align with purposeful work in the world, things that align with meaningful endeavors. We really want to keep the door open to that this weekend. Okay, that's one big theme. Second big theme is healing, but there's grace with this healing. I know we hear healing and we're like, come on, please give me a break from this crap. But there's this awesome alignment. It's a little fated, it can be a little crunchy, right? Sometimes healing just gets a little crunchy, but there's a fated finger of God or a yod with Chiron, wounded healer. Interestingly enough, feel into this for purposeful endeavors and meaningful work in the world. Chiron, deepest wounds lead to greatest gifts. Oftentimes our Chiron wounding, and I want to talk about how you can find your Chiron wounding. I'll give us some questions in a minute around how to find what is your Chiron wounding. It's very powerful to become aware of it. It's really powerful to work with it, and it's really powerful. It's like Chiron's the great alchemist. He changes, the pain into wisdom. That's that aspect. And it's being grace bombed by Jupiter. So just feeling Jupiter expansive, breaking through, grace bomb. So a grace bomb into that part of you that is your Chiron wounding to alchemize the wound into gifts, into wisdom. It's wisdom. It's a real wisdom point. It's the shaman in you. One of the shaman points in the chart is Chiron. Okay, we'll talk about that. Now here's the yod part. It goes into the mind. Isn't this good? So we can comprehend things. We might also be having communications. This is a week of action, a weekend of action. It really is. Mars is in some really good aspects to Uranus and Neptune. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that's about like action, taking action. Not just taking action like we think, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to do. But it's more like things can move in the world in a way. Things are moving. We can call things toward us. So it doesn't have to be this outward hard slog, although the hard slog is going to kind of start toward the end of the weekend. I'll talk about that in a little bit. We're about to get like the Venus in us, the feminine in us. She's about to go through some stuff, like some real stuff. All right. I think that's enough for like overall overarching themes. I'll go day by day. Let's shift over and go day by day now. And I want to keep this kind of short and sweet and tight. Okay, first, Friday. I love the alignment on Friday. There's magic abound on Friday, the 25th. So here's the magic alignment that I love. It's Vesta. I want to make sure I get this right. It's Vesta is in a trine. I couldn't remember if she was in a trine or a sextile. Vesta's in a trine with Pluto. Now let's talk about what these aspects of self are and what this means for your life on Friday. Again, this will carry into like Saturday, Sunday too, but it's mostly illuminated on Friday. But just know that it's not just Friday. So if you're watching this Sunday, it's still alive. Dive into it because there's a lot on offer here. So Vesta. I love working with Vesta because she opens up what it is that you want to focus your life force on. Isn't this good? This is so good for purposeful, meaningful work in the world. The gift that she brings to us, her symbol is a V, Vesta, home and hearth. She represents the sacred flame within. What it is that really lights you up. So this is one of those amazing points to work with around what it is that is purposeful, meaningful work in the world. And where do I focus my time, my attention, my resources, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. Vesta is very good at helping us to get very clear around here's another line I love using. Just because I can doesn't mean I should, right? Some of us are really good at a lot of things, or some of us are very called to a lot of different things, and lots of things want our attention. The kids want our attention. The community at school wants our attention. My work, job wants our attention. My partner wants our attention. Like everything is always pulling at us. And I think society's gotten a lot louder and a lot crazier and a lot buzzier. So more things pull at us or more things distract us. Vesta's like the antidote to that. She's like the medicine to that. This is what really lights you up. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's like there's 100 things you could do. These are the three. These are the three most valuable, most important, most meaningful endeavors that will light you up and bring you joy. I love Vesta from the standpoint of she's also the priestess in us. So for any of us who are called to like light worker path or becoming a channel for grace, or I think we're all channels for grace, it's just to what degree and what capacity have we opened up to that, right? But Vesta, working with this as an archetypal energy within ourselves, we all have a Vesta. We all have all of these archetypes. She just happens to be in a really good aspect to power on Friday, to Pluto. Pluto's power. Pluto is the depths, enormous amount of power, right? Pluto's also a great awakener. He's a great awakener. He's a great awakener. It's almost like his initiations. He gives you underworld initiations, right? Like he's the one who initiated Persephone, pulled her into the underworld. Now imagine this is the gift that Pluto's giving Vesta. You as the Vesta in you, the priestess in you, he's giving you an initiation into your priestessing. What is it that what is it that really lights you up in the world? What is it that really stokes your inner flame? And he doesn't care about the deep transformation, Pluto, deep transformation that's required for you to come into alignment with what it is that really stokes the fire within you. You might have to listen to that again. It's really powerful. What it is that stokes the fire within you. What relationship, what community, what endeavor, what creation, what job, what thing, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. This isn't about making money. It's not anything like that. It's what is it that stokes the fire within you, the sacred flame within you. Vesta, keeper of home and hearth, keeper of sacred flame. Vestal virgins, the temple space, the priestess within you, the priest within you. Don't care. This is not gender-based. Right? But here's the thing. It's the embodiment. It's the embodiment of your sacred flame, and it's the expression of it outward. And Pluto's really saying, hey, I'm in for initiating you. I'm in for waking you up to a little bit more of that. And I don't care the deep kind of transformation that's required for that. Really powerful. Really powerful. So feel into, how does love and light want to move through me? Just imagine yourself as a channel for grace. You're a channel for love and light. You're a channel for good in the world. How does it want to move through you? Has it shifted from how it was moving through you last month? How does it want to move through you now? Who you are now. Go to 0 point, 0 point, 0 point, 0 point, 0 point. We have the most amount of power. Again, that's Pluto. The most amount of power at 0 point. 0 point right now, right here, right now. Like the power of now. You bring all of yourself to the power of now, right here, right now. And then you meditate on that point. You meditate on that point and you go, okay, what is it that is truest? What is it that is most meaningful? What is it that really lights me up? What is it that Pluto's initiating me into? If you want a really great way to work in this territory, come on the California retreat, the Priestess Training Retreat, the 5-day advanced training retreat on the Dragon Ley line. Y'all seen that video? If you haven't seen the video, click the link above or you'll find it below. I talked about this California sacred ley line, the Dragon line. The retreat's over half full. So just in case, let you know, that's our only priestess training that's happening this year. I know I pulled the 18-month program. We're super focused on doing some other stuff. But if that's singing to you and you want a way to work with your own channel for grace or your own light worker in any way, shape, or form, that's very much an event to maybe feel into, whatever. All right, let's move on. Okay, so that's Friday, Pluto and Vesta. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Friday in that Mars is sextiling Uranus. Let's talk a little bit about what that means. Remember, Mars is action-oriented. Mars is breaking through. Mars is also calling things in the world. It's like the capacity to make things happen. Capacity to make things happen. So we have the capacity to make things happen with the energetics of Uranus, which is like lightning-like. This is why I'm saying it's not a hard slog right now. It's like things can shift really quickly. You can call things in. Uranus is the revolutionary. Uranus is breakthrough energy. Uranus is the new. Uranus is like Kundalini awakener. So you've literally got this capacity to work with the energetics of Kundalini and the infinite, all of everything, to be able to make things happen. But you want to be coming from that deep alignment place, of what is meaningful endeavors, what is purposeful work in the world. Uranus is going to kind of keep us on track like that. I love that. He kind of keeps us on track. So those of you who've gone through your midlife crisis transits, like 40 to 45, 39 usually starts, like where you just get hammered by all the big guns. That's why midlife is so wild and so weird. It's the astrological alignments, if you didn't know. There's one where it's the Uranus transit. Oh man, it is when you literally like people always say like you get the red sports car or you just go off the fucking rails, you get the divorce, you get the whatever. It's because Uranus is demanding you come into alignment. He's demanding it. He's like, you need to break out of the box and you need to come into alignment. And so I love this weekend for just asking us to get into deeper alignment, like Vesta giving us the focus, Pluto initiating us into a deeper truth, right? Then we have this Uranus demanding Mars, that we take action from a place of breaking free and alignment. I love this. This is powerful. All right, let's move on. So Saturday, this is the healing place. Let's talk a little bit more about soul endeavors and awakening to meaningful work in the world, purposeful work in the world. What is it that you are destined to be here for? What is it that you genuinely came here to do in this world? Some of it has to do with the wounds that you've had to heal through. Wounds that you've had to heal through, they are not necessarily physical wounds that you've had to heal through. Some of them can be things like deepest fears in the world. Some of them can be things like the childhood experiences that we carry with us. But it's like, how do we gain the wisdom out of that? And how does that become a way of shining light into the world? Again, it's a lot about shining light in the world, this priestess thing. How do we transmute, Chiron, alchemize our deepest wounds into our greatest gifts, our deepest wounds into like life-giving elixir, our deepest wounds into wisdom? So the things, like, let's say you've struggled with weight. I always love giving this example because it's really tangible and really easy. Let's say you've struggled with weight your entire life. You just have, for whatever reason, that's just kind of been your karma. It's kind of what, that's just the way that it's been. And you've had to learn all kinds of ways to stay healthy, all kinds of ways to eat, you've gathered all of this knowledge, and you would not have done that had you not struggled with that thing. Meditate on that. What's that thing or things that you've struggled with? For me, like sexuality was a huge one for me. But all of the information and all of the things, like studied years and 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 years. And now I've held things like sacred sexuality. I've held things like sexual healing and awakening, but I would never have been able to bring that out into the world as a gift, as an offering, as the wisdom that I've gained from years and 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 years of waking up to this in myself and working through this in myself. I can now give that out into the world in a different way. You feel that? So feel into what that is for you. There's more on offer here. Jupiter, right? This is that finger of God. This is that yod. Jupiter's gracing Chiron. Chiron's a shaman. I said I was going to talk about the shaman. How do you find your Chiron wound? That was it, right? I just gave you all those reflective questions. Maybe go replay that little section there. And you'll know. It's not like it's a hidden thing from you. It's not hidden. Sometimes we don't want to see it or we don't want to admit to it, but you'll know. You'll know. But also know that sometimes we're at the phase of where we're just starting to dive into it. We're just starting to learn about it. We're just starting to seek the things that bring us the healing, right? So that we can alchemize that deep scar, pain, wound, whatever, into something that we can give out into the world, into wisdom for ourselves. Okay, so Jupiter's grace bombing Chiron. Chiron's the shaman, right? The shaman brings you otherworldly perspectives also. Really want to share that is like shamanic visioning, otherworld perspectives. You want to think of like wizened elder who has a lot of wisdom. And again, honoring where you're at on that wisdom seeking path. If you're 20, you're probably going to be working on your Chiron wounding for a little while, right? If you're 60, you're really like, fuck man, I got a lot of wisdom. I've gained a lot of wisdom from this thing, this beautiful golden nugget, right? Okay, so this is all pointing at Mercury. This is the finger of God. This is the yod. We've been having so many of these yods lately. It's just a wild energy. If you've been hanging out with me for a little while, it's like constantly I'm going like, and now here's the next finger of God. And here's the next finger of God. So this is pointing at Mercury. Mercury's the mind. This is also why I love this weekend for understanding more of what is our meaningful work, more of what is soul endeavors, more of what we really truly came here to do in this life. So this being able to translate a bit. There also might be conversations that happen. There might be, and be careful, there can be tricky energy with the yod. So we want to watch our words. We want to be very thoughtful, very conscious of our words, because it could get a little like mixed up on Saturday. Okay, enough on that. Let's go into Sunday. So now Mars, remember Mars was in the Uranus piece, Uranus keeping Mars on track. This is where it's going to get a little fuzzy, right? So Sunday night into Monday, and I'll talk more about the astrology for next week in the week ahead astrology episode. So the next episode, we'll dive into next week's astrology. But on Sunday, we have Mars trine Neptune. This is interesting. Mars, remember that action-oriented, making things happen in the world. He's now just gotten hit over the head by the mystic. This peaks on Monday, but it's here. It's already happening. It's that he starts to like dissolve a little bit. So our action-oriented is going to start to go a little bit slower come Sunday night. Just give a little warning about that. I'll talk more about that on Monday. Now, another interesting part on Sunday is that the sun, this is more on that soul purpose piece. Sorry that I keep looking at my notes. There's just so many different things ripping through my mind at the moment that I want to make sure I get these right for you. The sun quincunxes the north node. What the fuck does that mean, Sabrina? Well, it's interesting because the north node is your true north. It's your soul's purpose. It's where it is that you're headed to in this lifetime. The sun is the conscious part of self. Like this. I like this. It's just illuminating more of this and shining a light. Sun shines a light, shining a light on more of where it is that your soul really wants to go in this lifetime. Not where you've been, not what's comfortable, not what's familiar, what it is that you're working toward, future visions. What it is that you're working toward. It's usually uncomfortable because you have to grow into it. You have to evolve into it. So I just love it. It's more of this whole theme of really coming into deeper alignment, really awakening to what's on offer in a bigger way. For you, it's let me feel. I want to get some really good like words that you can sink your teeth into. Maybe I'll end on this note. I'll give us some like real good reflective questions, and maybe if I can feel into some practices for you, I'll end on that note. But I do want to say, going into week ahead, Venus is about to get just completely, she's about to go over a bunch of dark goddesses. That's going to be rough. She's also about to square Saturn. That's just hard. It's hard. It's like the feminine in us is getting a karmic walloping, right? Father Time, Lord of Karma, is about to give her a good walloping. We're going to get a flavor of this come Sunday, late Sunday, because the moon is going to oppose Saturn and square Venus. So it's going to illuminate that, but gets louder next week. So we'll talk about challenges of next week. There's also really good opportunity though for big feminine reclamation. Like Shakti awakening. Really good for that. Really fucking good for that. But first we're going to have to see kind of the ugly stuff around, let me feel for a second, where we're diminishing, where we're dulling our shine, where we're diminishing our radiance. That's Venus. Venus is your radiance. It's your beauty. What are your judgments around beauty? You know, do you hear the word beauty and you just think like surface level beauty? Do you go into like the collective view of feminine beauty of just like, we're going to objectify the shit out of this and use the crap out of this and manipulate the shit out of sexuality and feminine beauty, all for capital gain? Right? Have we tapped into a deeper, more mystical, more divine and sacred aspect of beauty? How's our relationship to that? And what's our relationship to the flow of life force moving through us? What's our relationship to emotional nature, to the feminine, to the big force of the feminine, right? The creative nature of the feminine, the unpredictable nature of the feminine, the nonlinear nature of the feminine. And how does that fit into your life? How does that fit into our society? That's all coming up next week. So stay tuned for that video. If you haven't seen, we're going on tour next year. So here's what I want to finish up with really quick. I'll talk about tour, then I'll give you some of those questions that I promised. We're going on tour next year, Berlin, London, and Sydney. I would love to see you in one of those cities. Weekend retreats, immersion, we're calling them, because it really is an immersion. And the theme, guess what? rewild your life. Each weekend will be very, very different. We're going to work with all of these archetypal energies that I talk about in our astrology videos in an embodiment way, in an embodied way, awakening those aspects of you all in alignment with that true north. So everything that we talked about today, but it's like waking up the Vesta in you, waking up the Pluto in you, bringing them up to a third stage expression, which is a divine expression of them, dancing in harmony, dancing in union, all pointing at that true north. Isn't that good? Yeah. Crazy excited to be doing in-person stuff again. Crazy excited that we're going to be traveling all over the globe, kind of. I mean, I know it's only 3 events in 3 cities, but to me, it's fucking huge. And just to be in person with you all, I'm wildly excited for that. There's a birthday special going on now. It was our 9th birthday this month. If you did not see the latest episode on how rewilding came about, it might be of interest to you. Like, what the fuck is rewilding? How did this all happen? My very personal share about how hard it was and kind of how it almost did not come about. If you want to see that, we'll put links up above and links below. People are loving it, and I did it in a way that I hope it serves, like really to support. That actually could be something really good for this weekend, because there's a lot around following your breadcrumb trail, following your soul path, which is what this whole weekend is about. So that's something that could be a really good practice, is to go through it, because they give you lots of tips and lots of tricks and lots of pauses of like, and how does this mean? What does this mean for you? What is this? How does this show up for you? Now what's coming up for you? Like, what is your big scary? Rewilding was my big scary. Founding it was like the hardest thing I've ever done, and all the different like trials and tribulations that I had to go through. I mean, I cried myself to sleep every day on the first retreat I ever held. I literally cried every morning, every night. And I talk about all that stuff as a way of just like supporting our soul, our soul path forward, that true north. Okay, let me give you some reflective questions just to wrap up our conversation, and maybe here's what I would do. What would I do this weekend? Y'all, I would get super grounded, and I would go real deep. This is the Pluto Vesta piece. I would go real deep. I'm lucky because I live on this dragon ley line. So whenever I go real deep, I end up tapping into like this extraordinary amount of masculine and feminine mixed with creation energy, the sacred union. So I go real deep. I tap into that. Again, if you didn't watch the ley line or sacred the dragon ley line video, there's a video on that too. You can go check that out. We'll put a link below for that if that's like sparking your interest. It might not, but that's okay. So here's the practice. I would go real deep. I would sit super, 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 super deep in myself. And then I would open up my central column. And I would just bring more light through. I would bring more light through, bring more light through, bring more light through, bring more light through, awaken more light, let more light move through me. This is your channel for grace, right? You just become the channel for grace. Bring more light through. This is Vesta. You kind of activate Vesta, feel into Vesta, feel into Vesta, feel into Vesta from the deepest depths of my being. And now I become this channel for grace. And I would bring it all up to my heart, and I would go, okay, where does this want to flow? What does this want to flow into? For me, all I see is the tour, right? I just see these events. I see the California retreat that's happening in February, and then I see Berlin, London, Sydney. You know, for me, it's like that's focus, Vesta, focus. Where is it that my love and my light and my grace wants to flow into? And that's what I see in this moment. But for you, what do you see? But let the light, let the love move. Don't get your mind in the way. Maybe it flows into your family. Like, whoa, this is what really lights me up. Whoa, I was denying that. Or maybe it flows into, I don't know, getting pregnant, like getting pregnant, birthing a baby. Maybe you don't have any children, but you're like, whoa, this is just what's true, right? And let the grace and the love and the light, let it go past the fears. Let it go past the little self. That's the power of this weekend. Okay, then let me give us some more reflective questions. What is it that I've been struggling with my whole life? What is it that's a real challenge to me? What is it, that Chiron wound question? What is it that's been a real challenge? What is it that I've gained a lot of wisdom for, and how does that want to flow out into the world? Next piece that I would do is I would think about, what action can I take? What action can I take, or where can I put my thoughts to focus on bringing things toward me? Let me get super, super clear. That's the Mars piece. What action can I take to move the needle, even if it's just like tiny little needle moving things, right? Tiny little needle moving things. Do it. do it. Or it's a tiny little shift in your thoughts and your thinking and what it is that you're aiming toward, do it. Let Mars like really come into that deeper alignment and let us be putting it out into the world, whether that be we're putting it out into the world with right thought or right action. All right, I think that's enough. Have an absolutely amazing weekend. I would love to see you in the comments. I will be there all of Friday, probably a little bit of Saturday too. So would love to just hear what you have to say and how things are going for you. And if I'm going to see you in Berlin, London, Sydney, or here in California for that priestess training retreat. Okay, massive love to you all. I will see you soon.